People who were involved in MLMs, what made you come out of the fog, and what was your experience like? One of my best friends is currently in Amway and truly believes she'll be a multi-millionaire with a mansion in every major city across the world. She always talks to me about the things she'll have and do when she's at one of the upper levels of the company and super rich, but she's been doing it for years with no success. They have those crazy motivational speaker talks in concert halls, and everyone buys into the bullshit. They even convinced my friend and her boyfriend to secretly get married because it would be better for business or whatever. She won't listen to reason, and she always says stuff about how I'm not going to be a good mother or wife one day if I'm not rich enough to stay home with my family, and that'll only happen if I join Amway. Or she used to, anyway. We'd always get in fights about it because I'd just try and say we can agree to disagree, but she twists it into me not believing her or trusting her. I hate Amway. Plus their products are terrible and grossly overpriced, but that's a given for that sort of thing. I was anti-MLM before LuLaRoe, and I'm more anti-MLM after. And I think it's important to share because the culture of shame for getting involved in the first place, or for not being one of the 1% who succeed in the long run, keeps people making the same mistakes. Like maybe this company will be different. I felt like it was different. I still look back on the beginning and think it was different. I sold a massive amount of clothing, sometimes thousands of dollars a night. Let me promise you, it always ends the same. I've left a very difficult to leave religion. When I started to hear the same platitudes from LuLaRoe, the same excuses, the same betrayals and gaslighting, I wanted to leave but I struggled. Then the owners kept doing crazier and crazier shit and the saturation of sellers was sucking all the enjoyment out of it. I had customers for a year plus who would regularly spend $100 or more a month who suddenly were able to buy the same shirt from someone quitting at our cost. As someone who feels great shame about nearly everything, I've had to forgive myself. Because I was one of the lucky few who got out alive, I sent all my remaining inventory back and got a $10,000 refund. But if I'd properly kept track of my P/L, not even considering the hours of time and time spent away from my family, well, it's tough to swallow. Thankfully, I don't think I ever aggressively recruited. I wasn't aggressively recruited. That comforts me. Sorry this is long. It's adapted from something I wrote earlier this year. I was also in LuLaRoe. It was different. In the beginning, when retailers quit, you could sell your inventory back to the company at 90%, meaning we didn't have to compete with retailers going out of business. Releases were limited for everyone, even the mentors and top 100, so everyone could get a piece of the pie. Then corporate changed the game to appease the big dogs. I went 15 releases without getting a single item, and watched every single mentor and top 100 get anything they want, all while saying they were in the same queue as the rest of us. Note, I'm a math teacher with a knowledge of basic statistics. Them all getting 15 over 15, while the rest of us got 1 to 5 was not luck, but a statistical fix. The first month I merely broke even. I resigned. I'm definitely one of the lucky ones. I made a lot of money and didn't go into any debt. Outside of month 1, I ran in the black for 2+ years. It was so much fun. When the game was changed and the owners got super greedy, it was time to go. I never had a team and never tried to recruit a single person. I only made money off of the clothes. I never got into it, but I almost took a job at Vector Marketing selling Cutco knives. At the time I was a broke 18-year-old guy that just graduated high school and needed a job badly. Long story short, I got the duck out of there after the 2-hour interview. They told me I had to come in for 3 days, 18 hours of unpaid training before I could start. I will never work for free. In hindsight, literally everything about the hiring process and the way they are is sketchy. Edit. I thought I'd add this because other people are responding how Vector Marketing isn't that bad, or its sales maybe it's just not for you, which I can agree with to an extent. Vector Marketing used shady tactics to find recruits. They handed out envelopes with letters saying, make $15 an hour, make your own hours, be your own boss, all while not saying anything about the job. There was literally no job description or even what the job was. It was just a bunch of key phrases to entice broke and desperate high school kids that needed a job and money. I called them because I needed a job and eventually I was scheduled for an interview at their office. The office was in a sketchy building with no decorations or even standard office furniture. I got lost finding this place because it was so hidden away from the rest of the town. You'd never know this place existed unless someone brought you there. It wasn't even a standard interview either. It was just 20 to 30 people in a big room watching some dude cut ropes and coins with Cutco knives. They didn't even tell you that this was going to be a sales job to sell Cutco knives until later on in the interview. So after watching their little demonstration, everyone just so happened to get hired. It was only after getting hired that they asked you to come in for the next 3 days for 18 hours of unpaid training, presumably on how to sell their stuff. Now you're right, I'm not into sales, and I don't think I would have called up or wasted my time with vector marketing if I knew that beforehand. They should have flat out said in their letter, we are vector marketing and we are looking for people to sell Cutco knives. Apply today instead of being really sketchy about their motives. They purposely target kids that don't know any better and are poor/need money for college/living expenses. Young and stuck in a job I didn't like. Saw a sales job and being naive I thought, well, it can't be worse than what I'm doing now. Did it for a few months before I was broke. Realized in the middle one day, after being ignored for the 60th time, that I could make more money and not be ignored all day by working any other job. Applied to a call center, blagged my way into the ambulance service, and now I'm a paramedic earning way more money than I ever have. I didn't hate MLMs before getting involved in one, but I'm incredibly skeptical of literally any of them now. I was about 3 months postpartum with my second child. I'd given birth a week after my husband deployed, and I was invited to a virtual MACUP party. I decided to try the foundation and really liked it. So I joined up. I was thrust immediately into all these upline groups welcoming me to the sisterhood. I felt wanted, supported, purposeful. A few months down the road, once the obligatory family/friends of course I'll support your new endeavor purchases dried up, I didn't know how to sell anything without being pushy. My upline quickly corrected that mentality. You're not being pushy, you're giving them an opportunity. Remember why you love the products. It's unfair to keep it to yourself. Allow them the chance to hear about it. You have no idea that they'll turn it down. So, I followed my upline's advice. I turned my Instagram and Facebook into a brand of me selling overpriced MACUP. Every post had to be positive, even sad stuff needed to end on a positive, uplifting note. At least one post needed to be an engagement post that could lead to messaging whoever responded about the opportunity. I went live almost daily, applying MACUP and trying to engage people. I did this for about a year. It wasn't until a friend of mine asked for verification about our products being cruelty free that I finally opened my eyes and started digging. My upline just gave me the canned corporate response, and that didn't sit right with me. The more I dug around, the more unsettled I was. When I realized I'd been shilling cheap, shitty MACUP at high-end costs, and I was part of perpetuating the lies, I terminated my account with them. I sent a message to every single person who'd ever bought from me with an apology and a clear stance that I was not okay with what this company was doing. Never ever again. Edit, a word. I had a brief brush with one my freshman year of college. A charismatic upperclassman started telling me about a way to make cash part-time and invited me to a recruiting event, and I figured, what the hell, I'll go see what this is about. Sat through a PowerPoint presentation with a little bit of info on the products we have access to that aren't on the market without ever being told what those products were, and a lot of info on recruiting people, and then even more info on we've become rich doing this, and so can you. I later mentioned it in passing to a friend of mine, and he said that sounds a lot like the kind of shit Amway did, and I said, what's Amway? A brief conversation and a bit of googling later, and I blocked the recruiter's number. One of my best friends growing up, his parents were always trying some sort of get rich scheme using MLM. I remember everything from Amway to mangosteen sales. I love them all to death. I always enjoyed staying with them, but they were dirt poor with 3 kids in a house barely big enough for 2. They all loved each other very much, but they never were able to rise out of their level of destitution. The mom was a part-time substitute teacher, and the father had worked at a paper plant for 20 years doing the same job. Always wondered why they didn't ever try to make a change in the normal way. She had a master's and easily could have gotten a full-time teaching position, and while they don't make much in that state, it would have been a substantial improvement over almost nothing. A family friend invited me to a party for a travel MLM. She was on a track to receive a BMW, which she did. I sat in it. It was real, and I wanted one too. Having one of those lucky 1% that actually make money from an MLM around when deciding to sign up was definitely very helpful. She was doing well, and the prices were insane for some really great looking trips. I even got some of my co-workers from a coffee shop to join me. We thought we were really going to make some money, but primarily we wanted to travel as cheaply as possible. The worst part about my experience was pushing other innocents to spend their hard-earned money on something that was essentially worth nothing. I started realizing that something was amiss when I tried to book one of the trips for myself. The website was fake and there was no way to actually take advantage of the deals. To this day I have no idea if anybody has actually ever been on one. The friend who got me involved confessed the website was for show only and she had only ever been on company retreats for the company and never one of their vacation packages. Worst $250 I have ever spent. I'm just glad I didn't get taken for more. I believed in the message the company was touting, but it was a waste of time and money. I have a sister who sells e-oil and another sister who sells a health supplements and skincare brand, a friend who sells a hair product, and that is it for people close to me, though there are a handful more on FB and Instagram. The oil's sister isn't pushy and no longer thinks this side business will take off. She is doing really well at her full-time job. The supplements and skincare sister is refocusing on other career pursuits as well. She had some initial traction due to several family members buying out of support, but didn't grow beyond that. The hair product friend is a hustler. She has a huge family that is a lot of her customer base, and it was enough to not only grow some success on the upfront, but to also inspire friends to think they could do the same under her. She may do well, but TBD. She posts 6 stories daily and they are long, and 50% plus is focused on how her brand could be good to work under, or how her product could make your hair amazing. I have not tried it. It is super expensive, and I have good results from basic bee shampoo, so I can't justify it. That being said, her company does a good job of supporting the marketers with videos and products, and how to sell. They are really agile. They had toner kits and anti-wrinkle forks talks at the height of quarantine hair and wrinkle panic, with polished ways to approach promoting it. She is an amazing person and friend, and she is pretty good at the MLM stuff, though it makes it hard to want to watch her stories, because they are basically an ad that isn't working for me at this moment. Considering her hustle and how hardworking she is, it may pan out. She could be one of the rare success stories. I regards to her personality. She put herself through school, and even when her husband and her decided not to have her work and instead focus on their 2 kids, she saved up her portion of the expenses for the remainder of that year and surprised him with it. The girl is just trying something on that brings some extra funds to the family, and she certainly isn't half-assing it. I hate the game, but I love the player, if that makes sense.